Hey everyone, I hope I'm audible. So it's good to see you all joining us. Before we can start, what you can do is you can quickly add from where you're joining us so that I'll know that the audience is already aware of what this concept is about. So you can quickly add your name and you can tell where you're joining this particular session from. Hello Krishna. Hello KK. So we'll be joining in 2 more minutes. We'll wait for some time until a few more participants joins us. So meanwhile, can you all confirm if you can hear my voice properly? You can just tell yes or no. Hello, Jaimin. Okay, I this seems that I'm audible. Cool. Thank you for confirming. I guess there is a bit delay in getting the responses, but it should be fine. Meanwhile, I'll just brief out the agenda again. In this particular live stream, we'll be discussing how you can pick an organization for Google Summer of Code. And our main focus will also be not just on Google Summer of Code, but also on how we can contribute to open source using AI, because there are so many tools that have been released and LLMs are getting better every single day. So if you want to catch up with the space, it becomes very difficult because AI will definitely improve, and that's the reason why you just have to use AI and leverage it. And here I'll show one of the best IDE that I'm using, which is completely open source that you can use to contribute to the repository without even writing single line of code. It also helps you on how you can debug, on how you can understand the large code bases. This way, it becomes easy for anyone who is getting started with open source. So this is the second topic that we will be discussing. And later I'll talk about what are the best practices that you need to include whenever you're creating a proposal. And then I'll show a live demo of my own proposal that I created for Google Summer of Code. I'll talk about my journey, and that's where we'll be taking Q&A at the end of the session. Meanwhile, in between, if you have any questions, you can feel free to ask. I'm using two monitors so that I'll be monitoring as well. We'll wait for a few more minutes. I'll wait for 1 more minute and then we'll get started. Cool, cool. Okay, so let's start with today's live stream. The first thing what we will be covering is on how to pick an organization. First thing, whenever you are working on how to pick an organization, you need to ask your question: what are you expecting at the end of the GSoC? So there are different participants who join Google Summer of Code, and every single of one have different perspective on what we are supposed to achieve. This is where few people want to get into job, and there are few people who want to contribute to open source and get into networking field where you can join conferences and everything. And there are also people who join Google Summer of Code just for stipend sake. So there are different mindset that people join when it comes to Google Summer of Code. So first thing is you need to know what you need to achieve once the Google Summer of Code is ready. This is where it becomes very important to pick an organization that aligns with your interest. Now, once that you are aware of what you're supposed to do, the next thing is you need to just open the Google Summer of Code website. Here is where you will find all the organization names. So if you scroll down below, you will find all the organizations that were part of 2024. Now, when it comes to picking an organization, the first thing that you need to keep in mind is what organization has been part of Google Summer of Code for previous 3 years. This is where you'll get a bit of confidence saying that, okay, if this organization has already been part of previous 3 years, that means there are high chances this organization can also be part of the upcoming Google Summer of Code as well. As of now, there is no confirmation of Google Summer of Code 2025, but most likely it will be within this month or next month. We just have to wait. Fingers crossed. All right. So once you do your research on what are the organization that are already part of previous 3 years, Then what you can do is you can search your interest. By searching your interest, it can be if your tech stack is in Python. Suppose if you are good with Python, you can just search for Python and you will have the organization listed down. And within Python, if you are aware of data, then you can just write Python and then data. So this is where it helps you filter out what are the organization that you need to contribute to. So here what I'll do is I'll just search for data. Since my expertise in AI and ML, so my focus is to pick those organization which is into ML space and are doing something related to data. And this is where you will find all the organization that you have. You have OpenRefine, you have OpenStreetMap, IOOS, then you have MariaDB. Here is where you have Hen Lab, which I contributed to 2024. Then you have other organization as well, which is in data space. Now, once you choose your tech stack, it's nothing but you can enter data, you can enter Python, you can enter Django, React, any single thing. Once that is done, it will filter out. And now comes the very important part on creating the idea list. So when you pick an organization, every single organization have their own projects or an idea list. So here, if you look at, you have possible projects that Red Lab is looking for the contributors. And now what you need to do is pick those projects and create a detailed report on how you need to contribute to it. For example, I contributed to this particular project, which is Redden TV News Multilingual Chat LLM. So what you're supposed to do is once you pick an organization, each and every project has its own description that you need to follow. And once you have that description in mind, you will know, okay, this is how I need to contribute to open source, and this is the project that I need to contribute. Now, once this is done, what is the next step? Let me get back to the VS Code. All right. So here is where we'll be discussing on how you can contribute to open source using AI. Now that you understand these are the possible organization, this is the possible repositories you'll be working on. The next thing is you need to clone that particular repository. For example, here I'm using OpenAGI. To give you more context on what this is about, we'll be using head.dev. It's a IDE which is completely open source. So it's very simple. What you're supposed to do is if you have any open source repository which is listed down in Red Lab or any GitHub organization, you need to clone that internally by downloading this IDE. For example, here I've imported OpenAGI, one of the example. Probably if there is any Google Summer of Code 2025, we'll be joining via OpenAGI as well. So once you open any repository, what you need to do is you need to navigate inside the code base where the actual code is written. And all this description will be given in the project details of the idea list. So if this is the idea list, you will be given the entire details of that particular project and the repositories. So if you see here, for few of the repositories, you already have the link. Now what you need to do is, once you clone the repository, this is the IDE that we are using. So this is the head.dev where you can use the assistant part. So what I'll do is I'll show a quick demo. I'll pick a SRC, then you can navigate inside any single file. And then what you can do is you can choose any part of code and you can tell, can you explain this piece of code? And then you just have to attach that particular file. So here the file is azure.py. And now it will explain that particular file so that you understand how you can contribute to that particular repo. So it will give you the code and then it will also explain step by step. So as you can see, it's generating the code where you will have the understanding on how you can use that particular repository. So everything happens automatically. You don't have to worry about it. Now, what is the important part of this? Where am I getting to? Whenever it comes to open source, you need to provide a context and then you need to contribute to it. So here what I'll do is you have multiple files, you have cookbooks. So what we will do is we will create a new cookbook. So the goal here is you understand the code base and then see where you can contribute to so that you can create a new PR. So if you look as of now, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are total 7 files. Now what you will do is you will just attach one of the example. I'll just attach Hacker News, one of the use cases which has been built inside cookbook, and you can just tell add new cookbook for YouTube. Now, if you see here, it will create a new cookbook inside this particular directory, and I'm not writing even a single line of code. So it's just automatically writing the entire thing and you don't even have to worry about it. So if I click on the files, now if you see inside the cookbook, you have a new file, which is YouTube use. So this is one of the use cases that you can build. And as you can see, it was live. I didn't even have to worry about it and everything happened automatically. So this is just one use cases that I wanted to discuss on how you can use AI to contribute to open source. That way you will have a very solid foundation when it comes to contributing to open source. So let's get back to the organization details. So what else do you need to keep in mind when you're picking the idea list? So let's talk about that. So the first thing is you need to understand what are you expecting at the end of the Google Summer of Code, and then you need to filter out the organization based on the tech stack. And once you filter them out, check out the idea list of multiple organization. So this way you will have the idea of what projects that particular organization is looking for. Now comes the very, very important part on how you need to pick the organization. So there are three ways. So whenever you want to contribute to Google Summer of Code, you can pick three organization at once. So you can pick three organization. So what you need to do is your first organization is your priority. Let's suppose you want to contribute to TensorFlow. This is the repository you're looking forward to. Whichever organization has a very high name. For example, it can be TensorFlow, it can be Django, it can be Hen Lab. Everything which is at the top of the organization that you think has a very good name, that can be added as the priority for first organization. So this is very difficult to crack. This is very difficult to crack unless you have 4 to 5 PRs to that repo. To that repo in the sense the organization repo. So the first organization is nothing but it will be very difficult. If in case you have any PR to that repository, then it is well enough. The second repo is the second organization. It is on the medium scale. Suppose if you have created a new project, for example, you're using TensorFlow in one of your use cases, and you have 5 projects in your CV. Suppose you have 5 projects in your resume where you are using that repository. So the first thing is the first organization is where you have to pick where you have contributed to open source repository. The second organization should be something where you have used that particular repository and you have created certain projects. So this way you will have understanding of how this particular repository works. That way you will be linked with that organization. And the third repository, the third organization that you pick, just make sure you do a research on this. Research which don't have much contributors and stars to their repo. For example, in 2023, what I did was my first organization was TensorFlow. In 2023, my first organization was TensorFlow. The second organization was IVY, and third organization was caMicroscope. So I was rejected for TensorFlow and IV, but I got selected for caMicroscope. To be honest, I didn't even contribute even a single PR to that repository. Still, I got selected for Google Summer of Code 2023. Everything was because of the research. caMicroscope was not that popular repository. It was just participating in Google Summer of Code. And what I did was I just wrote email to that particular mentors and I got to know what are the details that they are working on. And I just set up that entire code in my local code base and I sent them the email saying that, hey, whatever you're trying to work on, I have set up that in my local repository. I just want to know what are the further steps. So this way, when it comes to third organization, you just have to include a very simple organization or very simple repository that you can easily contribute to. So this is ideal only when you want to get into Google Summer of Code no matter what happens. So in 2023, I wanted to get into Google Summer of Code no matter what happens. That's the reason why my third organization was not that popular enough, but still it made me get into Google Summer of Code just by contributing to few PRs. So I've mentioned the entire detail on how I got selected to Google Summer of Code 2023. So these are the few blog articles. As you can see, it was in 2023. Week 1 what I did, week 2 what I did, week 3 what I did, week 4, then week 5 and 6, 7 and 8, and then the final evaluation. So this was the entire detailed journey what I had in Google Summer of Code 2023, and everything happened because of the research that I did in picking the organization. So it's very simple. Try to contribute to few of the repositories and make sure you have the priority list in set. If you want to contribute to TensorFlow, if you want to contribute to Django, make sure you have a good PRs. It should be at least 4 or 5, so that you have that confidence enough that, okay, either I can put Django in my first organization or second organization. Now, in second organization, if you are unable to create any pull request, in that case, create 5 to 6 projects which are very good enough end to end, so that you can include those 6 projects in your resume or your proposal, so that you will have a validation that, okay, this person knows how to use our repository. So second organization is mainly for validation. Third organization is mainly for, okay, I need to get into this organization no matter what happens. I didn't had any PR. If in case you have any 1 or 2 PRs, and if you are feeling low on the confidence, keep that repository at your third organization list. So you have the chance to select the organization. So make sure you pick this very wisely. And if in case your proposal comes second, if you know how to prioritize the organization that you're choosing, then you have already won half battle in the first step itself. All right. So now that we have completed how to pick an organization and how to contribute to open source, so I already showed you how you can create a new PR by understanding the code bases using aid.dev. And I've already created a detailed video on my YouTube channel as well. So here you'll find the video. So you have the Cursor AI alternative, where I'm showing the different examples on how you can create the PR and contribute to the repository without even writing single line of code. I also show you how you can create a GitHub PR once you have created a complete new file. So this is the video, probably you can check out in the channel. I can also show you what is the terminal showing. So if I open the terminal now, and let me close this. If I enter git status, so as you can see, a new file was added, which is cookbook YouTube views. I didn't write a single line of code, and it was generated everything automatically. If you want to create a new cookbook again, what you can do is open the assistant tab, click on add symbol. So this is the syntax, click on add, then select file name. Let me zoom my screen. Click on add. Then what you will do is click on YouTube use case, then Hacker News use case, and just write a prompt. Now what you can do is, I need a new cookbook for XCI LLM, and you can say GitHub tool. So what it will do is it will create a new file. So why did I add XCI? Because previously YouTube use case and Hacker News use case, I'm using Gemini as the LLM. Now if you see, you're using XCI as the LLM. So it will generate the code, and once it is generating the code, it will create a new file. So it's very simple. It's very simple tool to use. You just have to use the syntax at attach a file. So attaching a file, it's nothing but you're telling, hey, this is the reference file. Considering this reference file, create a new piece of code. So you just have to provide the reference and write a good prompt so that you can get better result. So this is very straightforward, and you can watch the entire video over here so that we can focus on Google Summer of Code next steps on what you're supposed to do. Meanwhile, if there are any questions, we can take the questions. So the tool name is a.dev. It's a open source AI native IDE. So you can just use this tool and you can get started on how you can contribute to open source by using AI. And make sure you're not completely using AI. Understand what code AI is generating, and then just drag and drop that piece of code and ask questions so that you understand, okay, this is the PR I'm creating, so that you can write good commit message before you can even create a pull request. So these are the few things that you need to keep in mind before you create a PR, so that you don't mess up when it comes to the existing large code bases. All right, so there are few questions. I'll take one question at a time. What if we don't have reference file? Should we find the reference? See, when it comes to GitHub, right? When it comes to GitHub, there are so many reference files that you have. Suppose you have SRC. For example, this is the file agent.py. Let me remove this. Consider this is the file that you need to improve. Now, 101%, there might be few functions that you can improvise. During that time, what you can do is you can just attach agent.py and you need to tell, hey, this function doesn't look well. Can I improvise this function? I'll show you a demo. So what I'll do is I'll just click on run planner. So run planner is one of the functions that is being used in agent.py. Now what you can do is every single GitHub repository will have code files. So each code files, there will be certain functions that you can utilize. So what you need to do is just create add symbol, then write agent.py, and then just tell how can I improve run planner, give me suggestions before you make any code changes. Suggestions. So I don't want it to automatically generate a code. I want it to first give me the suggestions on how you can improvise. And based on that suggestion, you can tell, hey, this particular feature looks good. Can you implement this feature for me? So that you will have the reference file, you have the prompt, and you will also have the new changes that you can make. The only thing is you will need a bit of understanding on what this function does. For example, if you're using LangChain, then there might be high chances you're using split function. So in this split function, now you will know how can I improvise it. So it's just that use the tool first. Once you use the tool, next try to understand how you can optimize it, then make the open source contribution. There will always be a reference file. Can you tell me maximum how many organization we can apply like proposal in GSoC? Only 3. So as you can see, you can only select 3 organization, and this is how the priority needs to be. The first organization is what you badly want to contribute. TensorFlow is a very good repo. Django is a very good repo. So you need to have that high level repository that you have in mind. If you have contribution to the repo, then keep it first. The second repository, it's where you only have to select if you have done any projects. For example, if you have done around 5 to 6 projects in Django, you can keep Django to be second, but don't keep Django to be first until you have any open source PR for that particular repository. First organization is where you have PR. Second organization is where you have the project. Third organization is you have just set up that in your locally and you have some understanding on what it does. And then just do cold emailing to the mentors so that you have better idea. And everything needs to happen 1 month prior to the proposal exception. So everything, whatever I'm telling, right, you need to cold reach out to the people. It needs to happen 1 month before. If you're doing 2 weeks before, there are high chances mentors will already be involved in reviewing the proposal. So it's better to reach them out 1 month prior so that you'll be in a better shape and you'll have more idea on what the organization is expecting from that particular project. So do the cold email. Just make sure when you're doing the cold email, don't ask anything from them. First tell, hey, I'm working on this. Can you tell me how can I improvise in this? That's it. So if you tell, hey, I want to contribute to Google Summer of for 2025, can you give me tips? If you write the cold email in such a way that then probably no one will reply. So you just have to tell, hey, I'm working on it. Can you tell me what this feature does? So you can tell something which is within the repository so that you have the idea rather than directly pitching them on what or how I can get into Google Summer of Code. So how you need to get into Google Summer of Code should be secondary. The first thing is just get the help. That's it. So that they can reply to your email. Is Aid allow more prompts than Cursor? So Cursor, yeah, you have prompts as of now. You can configure the LLMs, but again, there is a limit on how many words you can utilize. So as of now, since it's open source, you are free to utilize it. But there might be chances they might have paid plans. But as of now, it's open source, so you can utilize it. Is only research to get third. Research is a very underrated thing. It's very easy to tell to do research, but it will take too much of time in or identifying which is the organization which will fit properly for the third organization. So research will take time. It's not that you directly go search for organization. There are so many people who will try for this. So you need to be very alert and you need to pick organization after giving your 100%. So this will take time. Research, it's not that you do for one day and you will get the organization. Check for the organization which fits within your framework. Let's suppose you pick an organization which is in Django, and now if you have a tech stack of React and JavaScript, that means you don't have the knowledge in that organization. Even if you get selected, there are high chances you won't complete that project. So make sure the organization that you're picking, it's within your tech stack, so that you will have confidence of getting into that repository or into that organization. So research will take time. It's not that it can be done within few days. So we'll proceed with the next steps, and we'll take the remaining questions once we complete the next part. All right. So we have completed with the first step on how to pick organization. So I'll enter this. And we have also contributed to open source without writing single line of code using AI. So the tool that we used here was Hate. Now comes the best practices in preparing the proposal. Here I have three proposal on how you can, three practices that you can utilize. Let me create a block. Okay, let me create it here. Best practices to prepare the GSoC proposal. Okay, so here I'll tell you three better techniques which can utilize most of the outcome whenever you're contributing to open source. The first thing is PR. The second thing is relevant project. I'll explain each and every step on how you can get this done. Relevant project. So this is what I did. This is what I did. And then third, networking. Knowing the mentor. Okay, so let's start with the pull request. So the best practices to create a Google Summer of Code is, if you know the organization, if you know the repository, then definitely you need to have few pull requests. So if you have around 5 PRs, right, 5 PRs to the repo that they are contributing to, then you are in a very good shape. You can keep that organization either in first or the second. Now I'll talk about relevant projects. So why relevant projects? When I was contributing to Hen Lab, right? Let's take this as an example. Hen TV News Multilingual Chat LLM. What they need is they need to fine tune a LLM, right? So when they wanted this particular project to be completed, what I proposed them is, hey, I already have a experience. Let me open my Hugging Face profile. So what I told them is, hey, see, I have Panda Coder. I fine tuned this model based on large language model. I know how to fine tune an LLM. I know how to create a data set for fine tuning LLM. So this become one of the relevant project to what project the organization is looking for. So here they need to fine tune an LLM. So what I did was I created a similar project on same lines so that they will know, okay, he knows how to build this project. He knows the entire roadmap on how it is built. So what you can do is, once you finalize the organization, look for their projects, then try to build 3 to 4 similar projects. So these projects, whatever you're trying to build, it need not to be added in your resume. Rather, it needs to be added in the proposal that you will be submitting for Google Summer of Code. So make sure all the 4 projects that you are building, it is subpart of the main project, what that organization is looking for. For example, if it was multilingual LLM, I built a fine-tuning LLM. Then I also built a open source data set, because here they're also looking for creating a data set. Once you create a new data set, then you need to fine-tune an LLM. So here you have 2 projects. The first project is creating a data set for fine tuning. Second is fine tuning the LLM itself. So you have two projects. That's where you also have different project. For example, if you see super rapid annotator, so here you need something related to multimodal vision. So what you can do is build few use cases which is in multimodal vision and then contribute to the existing project. That way, when you're creating a proposal, before you add your projects, you can tell, hey, this is the project that you're looking for, and I have already implemented similar project and I know how this can be built. So include what are the strength, what are the weaknesses for the project. So this is the second approach. If you are unable to do PR, if you are able to do PR, then it's well and good, you have the understanding of how that repo works. If you are unable to do this, then you can build few relevant projects. So build few similar project, and then comes the networking. This is one of the very difficult part because not every time you will be connected with the mentors, because most of the time mentors are from outside the country itself. So if you are already contributing to their existing repository, and if you have around 10-15 PRs, that means that mentor will know, okay, this person is active in our organization, and we can just reach out to them and he will help us out in the Google Summer of Code. Because when it comes to Google Summer of Code, every single mentor has to complete the project as well, so they need better candidates. If they already know the candidate before the proposal submission itself, they will tell, okay, hey, can you submit your proposal for Google Summer of Code so that we can shortlist you. So if there is any mentor that you know who is part of Google Summer of Code mentor, just cold email them saying that, hey, I want to contribute to this repository, can you guide me? And this can only happen if you know them beforehand, and this is probably one of the very difficult method. If you know them, you're very lucky. If you don't know them, you can probably check out the second approach, which is build relevant projects as much as you can. All right. So this was it. There is not much to discuss when it comes to best practices for creating a proposal. As long as you know what the end goal is, everything will fall in place. One more thing, what you need to do is create flowchart. Create flowchart of the entire project that the organization is looking for. This is where I'll show my proposal. Let me open my proposal. I hope my proposal is visible. All right. So the very important part is whenever you have any project, right, for the organization, you need to create a complete flow chart so that you can tell mentors, I know what this project is about. I know what is the input. I know what is the output, and I know the entire system design. So if you can create this flow chart and if you attach this in your proposal, then this is a game changer. Not many proposal. You can check out multiple proposals that you need. There are very few proposals that will have flow charts in that particular proposal. So having flow chart only gives you the validation that, hey, I know what the project is about. This way mentor will also have that confidence saying that, okay, this guy can contribute to the repository. So if I open my Red Lab proposal, this is the proposal that I submitted for Google Summer of Code 2024. I'll go step by step. The first thing is you need to add the project information, a disclaimer. uh, each and every organization have their own template. For Red Lab, this is the template. For TensorFlow, there will be different. For caMicroscope, it will be different. You just have to check the previous organization, previous year. Suppose if I'm contributing to 2025, check the proposal for Google Summer of Code 2024, get the samples and create a new proposal. Each template will be different. So I'll be showing the template that was used for Red Lab. So I added the project information. So you have the details here. Then you have the contributor information. I have added few details. This is the flowchart that I created. So if you see here, since Red and Lab wanted to create their own data set, I told them, hey, this is your existing database that you have. Then this is the pre-processed data. Then you have to use tokenizer, then train the LLM. This way, I created an entire flowchart on how the project needs to look like. Okay, wait. Yeah. So once you have this proposal in place, you will have that validation check that, okay, this particular proposal or this particular project, the contributor has much idea about. So this is very important. Make sure you have the proposal with flowchart. If not, don't prepare any proposal at all. So this will make your chances much easier if you add it within your proposal. I'll start again from first. This was one proposal. There is one more proposal that I created. Let me open the documents. Okay, so there are two proposals that I actually submitted. Let me open my profile first. Your project details. Right. So this was the finalized version of my proposal. So this was the first version. So this is the first version where you're adding the project information. Then you have the contributor information. And then you have to start with all the open source project that you have done. Since I had built a relevant projects, what I've done is, hey, my contribution in open source LLMs and fine tuning. As you can see, I'm not mentioning the PR. Above PR, I'm telling what are the relevant projects, and then I'm creating what are the existing PRs that I've created. So if you see, I created this FE reasoning LLM, which was the 7 billion parameter. Then you have Panda Coder, which is one of the LLM that I've built, and then you have Jama PubMed. So this is another open source fine tuning that I had created. And then you have deep speed integration. So here what is happening is, when you create a fine tuning LLM, there are different ways you can optimize the training process. In order to optimize the training process, I also included deep speed so that I can tell, hey, when you're fine tuning, you also need to optimize it. And I know how to optimize it. So this is just one more additional step saying that, hey, this is your project, this is the flowchart, and I know what I'm doing. That's it. And once this is done, what I've done is I've added my personal information where I've discussed what my background is about and what are the previous internships that I've done. Let me zoom this out. So the flow is add the project details, add the relevant project, add your work experience, and then add your open source contribution. So if you see here, I've added my open source contribution. Why did I keep my open source contribution in 5? Because all the merged PR and open PR, it's not relevant to Hen Lab. It's relevant to TensorFlow because my vision was to contribute to TensorFlow. That's where most of the PRs that I have are related to TensorFlow. If I am creating a proposal for TensorFlow, the third or fourth part will be my open source contribution, and fifth part will be my relevant project. So I need to rank it based on the organization. So here, since I've created a relevant project, my fourth subheading is relevant to the similar project. And then I have the work experience, and then I have the open source contribution. Once you have this in place, which is relevant projects, work experience, and open source contribution, the next thing is you need to create a complete timeline on how you need to contribute to that particular project. For example, now I'm writing the project goals. I have the diagram and I have the summary. So this is the summary that I will be working on for the project. This will differ for each project. I'm just telling you what I did so that you can get some clarity, right? So once you have the project goals, you need to create a complete end-to-end timeline, what you will do in this week 1, what you will do in week 2, what you will do in week 3. So this is probably a 3 months project. So what you have to do is, there will be total 12 to 14 weeks. You have to list down every single thing that you will be doing in each and every week. So this way you will have more understanding of what the project is about. So this is very important. The project proposal is the very important part that will be focused on Google Summer of Code proposals. So once you have the entire timeline in place, you can create a nice summary table as well, where you are including, hey, this timeline, I'll be working on this step, and what is the summarized task. So this is nothing but a phase. When you're contributing to Google Summer of Code, initially you will have community bonding. During this community bonding period, you will be in touch with mentors, and they will tell you what wrong you have done in your proposal and how you can improvise it. If there are any data requirements, data sharing, existing code base, if you have any questions for your related project, those discussion will be done in the community bonding. So this is nothing but a communication that you need to do with the mentors. You will have 1 or 2 meets before you can start with the coding phase. So this will complete for 1 month. This means if you are part of community bonding, that means you have already cracked Google Summer of Code. This is very crucial to understand the prerequisite of your project, and then starts your coding phase one, where you will actually write the piece of code. Then you will have the midterm evaluation. 1 week you need to dedicate for midterm evaluation, because this is where few feedback will be shared. And every week try to have meeting with your mentors so that you have the progress in check. But midterm evaluation is very important, so that if you pass midterm evaluation, you will go to the coding phase 2. If you fail midterm evaluation, you're gone. That's it. So make sure midterm evaluation, it's not that hard, but you just have to answer few questions. It will be multiple choice questions that you need to answer. That's it. And once this is done, you can also tell what is your commitment, saying that if you are taking any leave, if you have any exams that will be occurring during the Google Summer of Code, every single thing you can add it in the commitments at the end of the proposal. So this was my initial proposal that I submitted. And then after community bonding, this is what I created. They wanted the proposal to be very short, and they shared a template. So if you see here, this was created using Overleaf. It's the same thing. You have the summary, then you have the background. So here I told I have fine-tuned the LLMs before, and I know what I'm doing. You have the flowchart. Then the only thing is, again, if you see at top, I've given the relevant projects, and then they wanted the challenges that you'll be facing. So this was provided by the mentors during the feedback session. So I added what will be the common challenges that we'll be facing, and the unknowns to address. So unknowns to address was not I knew about it, because this was something new. I knew what are the challenges that we can face, but this was something new that I added. If you can add these two details in your proposal, even that can have an added advantage, saying that you know what the project is about. And then again, everything remains the same. You are writing the goal, and once you write the goal, you have the timeline. Timeline is very important. If you don't know how to define this timeline, it will be very difficult to crack Google Summer of Code. So make sure once you do the research on organization, once you complete the open source repo, contribution or relevant project, make sure you spend 2 to 3 days of time in just creating a timeline. Once timeline is done, then you write your other details. This is very easy to write. Once you have timeline in place, all the details that you have above or below, right, it's very easy. So this is the reference file. What I'll do is, after this video recording is done, I will attach the drive link in this video tutorial so that you can check out the proposals, and you can create something on the similar lines. So let's take few more questions. It's my first time contributing to Google Summer of Code. I just want to know, if it is small one, then how can I choose an organization? So you will have different projects. You will have medium scale projects. You will have large projects. You will also have small project. So it depends on the hours. Again, when it comes to how can I choose an organization which is small, you need to pick this based on your interest and tech stack. I can't comment on this. If you are on data, what you can do is, let me open the proposal. Suppose if you are on a data platform, just scroll below, go to the last organization that is there, check their organization, and then create the idea list. In idea list, they will have all their projects listed. So here they have all their projects. Now what you need to do is check if you can contribute to these projects. If you can contribute, then you can place this organization at your third. If you can't contribute, then again you have to come back, check for different organization. This is something that will take time, and it depends on your interest. Even if I tell what you need to pick, there might be high chances that you have to go and research yourself. So this is one step that you need to spend some time, because it's not that easy, and yeah, you need to spend some time. So just scroll down and start from below, and then come at the top. Meanwhile, up until then, create an Excel sheet. So what you can do is, in that Excel sheet, you can mention all the easy projects that you can contribute to. Once you list down all the projects in Excel sheet, then prioritize on how you need to rank them. I did the same thing. I had an Excel sheet where I listed down all the projects that I am confident with, and then I filtered them out by prioritizing it on how well or how confident I am in contributing to that repository. Is open. Okay, I know Jaimin. I guess he's one of the contributor to OpenAGI. We are trying our best. 100% probably if Google Summer of Code is starting to open this particular month, I'll probably try to get both OpenAGI and as well as Beyond LLM for the Google Summer of Code 2025. So that's the aim, and I hope that will happen. Is there scope of participating in GSoC if someone into CP and has made a project on computer vision or image processing? Yes. So Google Summer of Code 2023 that I contributed, if you look at this particular repository, which is caMicroscope, this is in image processing. Let me open one of the article. So if you see, it's completely related to image processing. You just have to enter your keyword. If you want to contribute to image processing, just go in summer with google.com and then enter the keyword. Here, just enter the keyword saying that computer vision. And you will have OpenCV. There are other projects as well. You have CloudCV, which is one of the good repositories as well. I know few people who are contributing to CloudCV. If you scroll down, you'll have few more organizations who are looking for computer vision related projects. So you just have to search for it. That's it. Yeah, computer vision image processing is the same. Most of my task, which I did for Google Summer of Code 2023, was related to multispectral images, which comes as a part of image processing. The last time I tried contributing to an organization, but it was difficult. So go through the code base alone. Yeah, see, when it comes to going through the code bases, you need to have a bit of experience on what that repository is about and how you can contribute to it. That's where check for those organizations. If you are unable to create PRs, if you are unable to create a PR, then go with contributing relevant project. This is a backup step, right? This is for those who are confident enough, who are contributed to open source project, who knows how the backend works. This requires experience. If you have done any 2 to 3 internships before contributing to Google Summer of Code, this is easy for you. But if you have not done this, go with relevant projects. This is something you need to contribute, and obviously it will take time. No matter what step you take, whether it is pull request, relevant project, networking, knowing the mentor, every single thing will take time. So you need to spend some time knowing what the project is about and how you can build something similar. So you can go through this particular approach. And again, if you're facing issues on going the entire code base alone, use HADE and it will tell you whatever issues you have, right? Suppose if there is any SRC, include that particular directory and tell how you can navigate. Once you have that navigation steps in place, right? Then just go check each and every file, attach that particular file, try to debug what is happening, how can I improvise it. So use AI because now you have that luxury of using LLMs. Claude.ai is better in understanding code. So use AI, understand what the code base is, and get your responses. Since Cursor is not free, you can use open source IDE that can help you understand the large code bases. I am a beginner. Please share roadmap or resources to learn LLM fine-tuning project. Let's focus on this for next part of the video because it's a very detailed thing. I'll just give you a brief before I can proceed. What you can do is try to learn PyTorch. Once you learn PyTorch, try to understand transformers architecture, then learn Hugging Face. In Hugging Face, what you can do is learn about auto classes. So you have auto classes, then you have bird based models, then you have robota. Try to understand language models which have been fundamental transformers model, like BERT is there, robota is there, T5 is there. Once you try to understand all of them, then you can get into llama models, then mistral models. Once you understand their code bases, then you can go with fine tuning. They have a library called TRL. So I'll just list down the steps. I'll create a different video for this because this will go pretty detailed. So one is learn PyTorch, then learn transformers. So in PyTorch, you can cover the neural networks, and then try to understand Hugging Faces transformers. So this is, you will have one video from Andre Karpathy. You can check out his Zero to Hero. transformers video. That single video is enough to understand what transformers and how you can build it from scratch. Then learn about Hugging Face transformers, where you can explore their auto classes, and then you can learn about BERT, Robota, T5. Then try to learn about distillation, knowledge distillation. Once this is done, then try to understand Llama and Mistral code base, then TRL library and PEFT. PEFT is nothing but parameter efficient fine tuning. So once you complete all the steps, then you can get into these two libraries to fine tune an LLM. That's it. You started building project based on their previous projects. How do you build so fast and learn new things? I'm beginner in coding. How? So here, right, since I already know how to build projects, since I knew the syntax and since I knew the framework, it was easy for me to build a relevant projects. So this is where probably you need to have understanding of the frameworks itself before you can even start contributing, because each repository have their own framework that they are using. So try to learn that first and then try to build relevant projects. So in my case, I knew what that framework is, so that way it was easy for me to get started. So yeah, can you suggest some open source to contribute to if I'm preparing for Hen Labs? So if it is related to Red and Lab, probably again you can look for transformers, then PyTorch model, because their code bases are also using that. There are a few projects, probably you can check out the repo. In one of the repository, they are also using TensorFlow, so you can check out the repository. And for the relevant project, again, you just have to search the keywords here and you will get the suggestion. The only thing is you have to do a bit of research in understanding what are the relevant project, because I don't know what your expertise is as of now. So search for your keyword, do a bit of understanding on how to pick your idealist projects, and then you can proceed with it. For time being, you can learn PyTorch if you want to contribute to something related to Red and Lab, PyTorch and transformers from Hugging Face. So do you have to create how much? So do you have to create how much time for preparation? So may I know for what preparation are you referring to here? M Shadow. Please give links to your proposal in description. Yeah, definitely. So once this particular video is done, I'll attach both my proposal, Google Summer of Code 2023 at caMicroscope and Google Summer of Code 2024 at Red and Lab. You'll find two proposal link in the description. And also, since you have registered via Luma, I'll be sending out the newsletters as well. In newsletter, you will have the links. If not, I'll attach it in description, newsletter, and Discord channel. You can check out our Discord channel. You have the link in the description, so that it will be easy for you to communicate with me. And if you have any doubts, you can send those questions in Discord as well. My current tech stack is one, but I have been searching for organization. It's been a lot of months, but I didn't get any relevant organization as the tech stack is beyond one. Could you guide me? Okay, so I don't have much knowledge on what MERN is about. I know React a bit, but I'm not sure of Node.js and other details. So here, what you can do is instead of looking into MERN, you can break that down into keywords. Search for React-based project. I remember there is something related to Rocket Chat. There is an organization called Rocket Chat. So have you checked this particular organization? They have bit beginner-friendly projects as well. If you search here, you will find few simple projects as well. So you have news aggregator app. So if you see, these are few apps which are very simple to build. And if you see here, it's very easy. Difficulty level is easy. Then you have project duration 90 hours. So this kind of projects, right? You can build it using AI. So just go check out this repository. This is one of the projects that you can use. But again, this was for Google Summer of Code 2024. You will have few projects which will be very simple. Just go check for these keywords easy. I'm pretty sure you will be able to build it. You don't have to worry about it. Just search for few organization. I knew Rocket Chat. There will be other similar repositories as well. I'm also learning new techniques like TS, GraphQL, and thinking to learn DevOps so that maybe I can have a lot more projects to contribute. So it's not, see, it's okay if you want to learn new things, but also make sure that whatever existing knowledge that you have, try to contribute to few projects with your existing tech stack so that you'll at least be in the space where you can contribute to open source project, have networking with mentors. Once this is done, right, it will be easy for you to navigate to different open source projects. If you directly jump into the existing code base of the organization, it might be overwhelming. So try to contribute to small projects, and once you have learned one, right, check for those project which is using one. So you can go to GitHub. Probably what you can do is go to ChatGPT, click on this search GPT, then just add one, give me GitHub project or repos that I can contribute to. So you can use search GPT, you can use list of GitHub repositories. Even if they're not part of Google Summer of Code, try to contribute to them so that you will have the understanding of how the large code bases are written. Once you contribute to these repositories, then you can come back to Google Summer of Code organization, and then you can contribute to them. Even I didn't contribute directly to TensorFlow. There were other organizations that I first contributed, then I got into TensorFlow. So after TensorFlow, then it was caMicroscope and then Hen Lab. Unfortunately, I didn't get into TensorFlow, that's secondary, since there was a project on Raspberry Pi with MediaPipe. That project was not added in the proposal. So try to contribute to the repositories which are not even in Google Summer of Code. This is just to give you confidence. Once you have that confidence, come back to the organization, look at the repo, and then try to add bit additional feature or additional PRs that you can create. It's just building confidence. If you can build that confidence, it will be easy. I meant for whole GSoC process. Okay. For whole GSoC process, probably first thing is you need to have bit understanding of what your framework is. If you have built around 5 to 6 projects already in your framework, and if you have 2 to 3 internship experience, then you can use 3 months to prepare for Google Summer of Code, and then 3 months for contributing to the repository. So that way it will be around 6 months. So you have the time. Usually the contribution starts from April and May. So you have 4 months in time. 3 months you can dedicate in contributing to some open source repository. 3 months you can contribute to the existing Google Summer of Code project that you will be selected. So that way you'll have 6 months in hand. But the only thing is you can select 6 months if you have previous experience. If you don't have previous experience, getting the framework knowledge, building new project might take some time. So I'm talking in perspective of you already have some experience. So if you have experience, then it is around 5 to 6 months. If you don't have experience, then probably it might also take a year. You don't know. I haven't done any internships. Then it might be difficult, to be honest, because you need to get that expertise as well, right? If you're building any relevant project, you need to know that framework. You need to have bit of experience. Once you have that experience, then it will be easy for you to build some relevant project. So in building that relevant project, you might take around 3 to 4 months itself. Then preparing 2 months for Google Summer of Code. So it will be like 6 plus 3. It will be around 9 to 12 months. So it might be shorter as well if in case you learn very quickly, but that depends on your learning speed. All right. So there are no other questions. What I'll do is I'll proceed with the last session, which is my GSoC journey and tips, what you can be using. So I already shared most of the tips. So the first tip was on how you can prioritize the organization, because I'm pretty sure not many people have listed this down on what is the first organization, what is the second organization, how to pick that organization. So I hope you understood on how to pick these 3 organization. And the next tip is these three. What are the best practices? Building the relevant project, having PRs, and networking with the existing mentors. So the skills that you need to learn is also learn cold emailing. This is very important. Cold emailing skill is very underrated. Then prompt engineering is also very underrated. Why prompt engineering? Uh, because when you are using tools, AI tools, you need to know how to write prompts. So it's also better to have the understanding of writing prompts. So here you don't even have to learn coding, right? You just have to learn how to write English. So cold emailing and prompt engineering are two underrated skills that you can learn. Now, talking about my GSoC journey, it's very, very important to communicate with the mentors. What I did was, whenever I got selected to Google Summer of Code, I made sure that I'm having a progress every single week. Even if I have done very small work, right? If I open week one, if you see this is a very small blog article, I just downloaded that entire repository in the week one. I didn't write even a single line of code. I just downloaded that repo. Still, I wrote that blog article so that there is some progress that I can share with the mentors. So have meetings with mentors, write few blog articles so that you can also share with others. You can also have other mentors as well, knowing what you are building, because when it comes to organization, they have 5 to 6 different projects and there are different mentors. So if you are writing blog articles and if you are sharing with them, even they know what you're doing. So it's a better practice to utilize. It's an optional thing. It's not that you have to write. It depends on you. If you want to write, you can write. If you want to ignore, you can ignore. But I wanted to write so that I wanted to give some progress to the mentors. During 2023, I was in my college, so there were times when I was not able to meet the mentor. That's where I just wrote a blog. I used to mail them, hey, this is my progress, and if there is anything else, we can have a meeting on the weekend. So communication is a key. The better you communicate, the better relationship you'll have with the mentors. And it's not just within the phase of the Google Summer of Code. After Google Summer of Code as well, there is multiple things you can explore. It's like if you build something within your GSoC phase, next thing is you can go at some conferences. For example, if I open my Hugging Face account, so if you see here for our Google Summer of Code, whatever I built, right, the multilingual LLM, we wrote a research paper on it. So it's like you're not just yourself within the 3 months of time, it's beyond the 3 months of time. So make sure you are also continuing contributing to open source even after you get selected to Google Summer of Code. This way you can get chances to go at conferences, travel around the world for free of cost. Probably if someone has followed me for a long time, you know that I've literally traveled for 6 countries in this particular year, right? So I only got to travel just because I was able to contribute to open source. I had that networking, very strong networking that I created. So it's just that build projects and then create a network. And you can expand that network if you know a mentor already. So just have good relationship with mentors, and that's it. I'll only tell, learn cold emailing, prompt engineering, have a good communication skills with your mentor. That's it. And regarding the tips, you already have everything in place. I have done my course by Andrew Wenzi. That's best. Probably even I have done my course using Andrew Wenzi itself. So you can continue with it. The only thing is, Andrew Wenzi only teaches about the courses. It doesn't teach us about the projects that you can build. So once you take that course, try to build few projects around it. How to learn new frameworks on new stack if documentation is not good. So again, here probably I have a different flow diagram. I'm not sure if it is within this page. Let me check it out. Okay, so usually how to learn new frameworks, right? The first thing is you need to pick certain case studies. So what are these case studies? Most of the startup pages, right? Most of the startup pages, they will have few case studies that they will list in their website. So what you can do is you can just go to Perplexity and search for engineering blog articles for top companies and startup for Python AIML. So now what you can do is search for engineering blog articles. You will get few companies. What I referred was Netflix was there. Netflix has their engineering blog articles. Pinterest have their blog articles. Once you know what they're trying to build, you have to learn a new framework. So you can only learn a new framework if you know what you're trying to build. So try to research on case studies. So if you want to research on case studies, that's where you have to search for engineering blog articles. You can use Perplexity to search to get the result, or you can use Search GPT. So if I look at the results here, you have PayPal. It didn't give Netflix. I've already followed Netflix for a very long time. Then you also have Pinterest. You have Pinterest engineering blog. So they have the engineering blog. Under that you have machine learning. There are so good articles. They'll tell you how they are using AI in their own product. So these are the case studies. You have Duolingo who has website. You have Khan Academy. You have Pinterest. You have Netflix. You have Lyft. You have Google. You have Uber. Try to read those blog articles. Try to get the understanding of what case study projects that they are building. Then you can use GPT and Perplexity to filter them out. Once you have these case studies, then build certain use cases. So how do we build these use cases? So let me create a flow chart so that it will be easy for you. So you research on case study. Once you research on case study, the next step is you need to pick an industry, or else we can do this way. First, let's pick an industry. Then let's pick a case study. Now let me give you an example, right? Let me give you an example. There are different industries. You have retail industry, you have e-commerce, then you have education, and then you have tons of other industries. So what we'll do is we will pick education as one of our industry. Right now, what is this case study? Now what I'll do is, given the industry, I need to check for the engineering blog articles that falls under this particular case study. So one of the best example is Duolingo blogs. So they have the engineering blog articles where they are telling how they are utilizing AI, how they are utilizing different tech stacks within their own code base, which is the Duolingo. There is one article on there is something called as Duolingo Max, where they are using GPT-4. So there is a blog on that. Yeah, this is the blog. So introducing Duolingo Max, a learning experience powered by GPT-4. Try to read this article. You will get the understanding of what they are trying to build. So this is one case study. So if you see here, write this in French. So you can build a application which will do the language translation, which will create question and answers, which will create personalized training. So all these things acts as the case studies that a company is trying to build. And then you have use cases that you can build for your project. Use cases. So use cases is a smaller part of the actual case study. If they're trying to build an entire learning platform, there are different features that they're trying to build. What you can do is try to pick one single feature and build the use cases for it. Now the question will be like, hey, how do I build these use cases? Here you have to go to Kaggle. You just have to go to Kaggle, search for relevant projects. You have so many code which is available on Kaggle. You just have to search for dataset, go for notebook column, copy paste the entire thing what other people are building. This way you'll know how people are writing code, and then you can build something on your own. So this is the flow that I usually use. Pick an industry, then case study, use cases, go to Kaggle, copy paste. Once I understand how other people are writing code for the dataset, then I will try to write something on of my own. So this is the method that I followed. Probably it will be helpful in your case as well. One last question. If I go to repositories by seeing the project, I see which are relevant. Krishna, I didn't get your question. I guess this is incomplete. Okay. One last question, like, can you again type because it's very difficult to follow up on the previous comments. I have some experience fine-tuning models for object detection and getting absolute objects. You can't just contribute to open source by building one project. You need to have at least 5 to 6 projects in the same space. Then what you can do is, when it comes to fine-tuning object detection, there are certain metrics, right? So you just have to go to OpenCV library and see if there is any optimization that you can make. If there are no optimization, try to build multiple projects until you find a loophole, or until you find okay, this particular feature can be improvised. Then you can go to OpenCV and then you can do your open source contribution. There will always be one or two functions that you can always contribute, whether it is a single parameter, whether it is a single variable that you can update. Just try to do that. The only thing is identifying that variable might take some time. So that's where try to build multiple projects. One or two projects might not make sense. Here, right, when I spoke about this industry Kaggle use case, I used to copy paste 5 or 6 collab notebooks, and then I used to build something of my own. I had that luxury that I did everything during the lockdown time. The only thing is there is a very limited time when it comes to people learning now. So you just have to bear with it. Try to build new projects so that you can get that confidence. Okay, so probably we are hitting the time limit. It was supposed to end at 7:30. I know there are two more questions. So what we can do is you can join the Discord channel. You can ask your question there. What I'm doing is I'm also launching series of. I wanted to make this decision on January 1st, but I'll make this decision today itself. I'll be creating 6 live streams starting from January 1st. So what our focus will be is I'll only focus on AIML, where every single weekend we will build a project end to end live. So if I face any error, we will try to debug that on live. But the only thing is, I need a bit of prerequisite. If I'm doing any LangChain related series, I want few people to already know what LangChain is, because when I go end to end, there might be high chances you might not know one or two functions that I'm trying to build. So that's where a bit of prerequisite for whatever live streams I do is required. So not to worry, what we have done is I have the playlist in place. So most of the live stream that I'll be doing will be related to OpenAGI, LangChain, Llama Index, Crew AI, PyData, Quadrant, Milvus. So these are the few things that I have in mind as of now. So every single thing I have a detailed videos. For Llama Index, I have 5 videos. LangChain, I have around 9 videos. Try to learn these basics so that when we are doing live stream end-to-end project, it will be very easy for you. I'll make the announcement on January 1st so that everyone are on same page. This is my focus for coming 2025, where I want to create multiple live streams to contribute to end-to-end projects. So we'll do this, but the only thing is it will be Python, because I don't know man, I don't know other tech stack. If you are from web development, I'm sorry, but if you are from AIML, I got you covered. Yeah, I'll probably quickly send you the Discord link. Krishna, probably we are ending up with the time. What you can do is you can join the Discord server. I'll answer your questions over there. Let me quickly give you the Discord server link. So this is the link. What you can do is you can try to join the particular Discord server so that we can take up the remaining questions on Discord. And feel free to join our upcoming live streams. We'll be doing multiple live streams. I'll also be coming in person. I've already been part for a few of the in-person meeting at Bhubaneswar. Then there was also Jalandhar and Goa. I'll be coming to other places as well to deliver talk. If you are around, make sure to join those events. All the events, all the live stream will be complete free of cost. I'll probably see you there. Do join the Discord server so that we are in touch. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you.